Hi, everyone. I am going to say welcome back. Happy to have you back with me for this next installment. You will have by now watched the welcome video and participated in the Who's Who in Lit 182 video. Okay, or Who's Who in Lit 182 forum, excuse me. So now what I would like to do is just give you a brief introduction to what we're going to do in this class. So, first of all, the who are you? These are questions that hopefully you answered in the forum. Who am I? This is a recurring literary theme that we will be addressing throughout the course. First of all, I'm a professor of French literature. My area of specialization is the 19th century. I am a lover of the in-between, the yes and the no. The last literary work that I read was a play called Le Mensonge by Nathalie Sarraute. And favorite literary works. Seriously, who comes up with these questions? Isn't it hard to say? I don't feel bad that I asked you to say. But anywho, here's a list of some of my favorites. Germinal, which we'll be reading in this course, by Émile Zola. Corinne ou l'Italie by Germaine de Stael. A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. And Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And this is just to name a few. Okay, so what will we be doing in this course? We will be looking at the following periods of literature. 1800 to 1830 is Romanticism, which we need to understand Romanticism in order to understand realism, which is where this course really starts in 1850. And realism goes from 1830 to 1870. Naturalism then, 1870 to 1900. Modernism from 1850 to 1930. Expressionism from 1910 to 1930. And then Surrealism from 1920 to 1960, and Existentialism from 1860 to 1960. So what will we do? We will read lots. We will reflect on what we read. We will discuss what we read. We will write about what we read. And we will put what we read in a societal and historical context. And in doing all of this, I think we will have a lot of fun. What will we read? Well, we will read poetry, plays, novels, novellas, or short stories. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to interpret literary works? Hermeneutics is the discipline of interpretation, and this comes from the Greek god Hermes, who was the god of many things. One of them was interpretation. And all this is it's a way of deriving meaning and making that meaning personal for you. And that's why great works of literature are so great, because they have a meaning that each person can find a personal meaning in. So what types of things can we read? We can read road signs, shopping lists, chemistry books, websites, forums, subtitled movies, novels, poems, letters. So how is literature different than other things that we read? First of all, it's fun. What would you rather read, a good juicy novel or the handbook for your microwave? Hopefully you're saying a good juicy novel. And the other reason that we read literature is because we gather meaning from it. Now, meaning here is in quotation marks, because I don't mean meaning in that we understand, we learn how to program our microwave, but rather we gather the meaning of life, the meaning of the world, the meaning of existence through literary works. So how do we read literature? Literature demands interpretation. It's not just something that you sit down and you read and then you walk away. You're really supposed to think about it and digest it. Interpretation then brings understanding. Understanding leads to appreciation. And then you have lifelong learners of literature. So, first step, let's learn how to interpret. The hermeneutic circle. So as you can see here, we're going in a circle. You can start at any spot here. Let's start with just some random work, okay? There's a work that exists in the universe. A reader picks it up, reads it, and then goes back into the universe, right, where the author exists, who then writes a work. So the point of all of this is that all of these things inform each other and work together in order to give us a work of literature. So, how can we study the work? First of all, one way to approach it would be to study the author. A critic might decide to take a look at the life of the artist. Where was he born? What sort of family life did he have? What psychological phenomena made him or her write? So the work is less important when we're studying the author, and all it really does is serve as a revelation of the artist's psyche. This is often associated with a psychological or a psychoanalytical approach. So art comes out as a result of creative neuroses of the individual. Okay, so if I'm obsessed with my relationship with, say, my cat, then all of my works are going to have some sort of cat theme or issue in them. Okay, maybe it's the father that's more common than the cat, but you get the point, I think. Another way that we can study a work of literature is to study the text itself. So what we have here is an excerpt from Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. And so look down kind of here down by the bottom, and it says, and our each acre of the earth, and on each acre of the earth. And he changed that to, and to me, each acre of the land and sea. So by studying the text, we can get an idea as to how the author was working through what he viewed or what she viewed to be the meaning of his or her text. Another thing that we can do is a French term called explication du texte. And in this, you're just looking at the text, the final production. You're not looking at the author. You're not looking at historical events that surrounded the author. You're just looking at the work as a closed system of symbols and themes. So here you're trying to exclude any considerations of the author. So, for example, you read, one morning, after some bad dreams, Gregor Samsa awoke in his bed to find himself transformed into a giant kind of cockroach. So it doesn't matter that this is by Kafka. It doesn't matter when it was written, what philosophical movement influenced the work. All you're paying attention to here is what is in the story itself, and you don't stray from the text. So that's an explication de texte, also called a close reading. Reader response theory is another approach to reading literature. Here, it's less important what you're reading and more important what the reader pulls out of it. So here we're looking at the horizon of expectations. The work contains cultural and informational presuppositions, but so does the reader, right? When I come into a work, if we go back to our human hermeneutic circle, if I come into a work, I'm coming at it based on where I am in this life. And so what I get out of it often comes from where I come from and what I then bring to the work. So in other words, readers bring their own meaning